The film begins in a town called Pungo, where a woman was being punished for her witchcraft. That woman was accused of being a witch and doing black magic, but that woman was crying and saying that she was not a witch and was going to become a mother. Now, that woman is told that if you would witch, you will come out of the water, because that woman was being punished by drowning in the water, and if you won't be a witch, you will drown. After which that woman is thrown into the water. In all of them, her husband was also there, who was misled by the villagers that your wife is a witch. Now, after a while, that woman drowns. From this, everyone knew that she was not a witch, but by the time it was too late, when that woman drowns, her husband sees his wife's locket in the boat that was shining. Now, as soon as he picks up the locket, the weather starts to change and a big storm comes there. Everyone goes to their homes from here, after which we are shown the time of 300 years later. We see a girl named Grace, who sees a witch on the way. Then her friend comes to her and the witch disappears from there. Now here we come to know that Grace was also from the same woman's lineage, who was punished for witchcraft 300 years ago. Her husband was not a good man at all. He used to beat Grace a lot. After getting tired of these things, she decided to stay in his family home. Now the next day we see two men. One of them was called Bud and they came to fix a few things in her house. Now, they both start working in Grace's house. Then Bud sees the soul of his dead daughter working there, which had drowned in the water many years ago and died. She tells Bud to go away from here. There is a danger here. Then Grace comes there and Bud's daughter's soul disappears. On the other side, Bud's friend sees a terrible woman coming out of the wall, who was like a scary witch. Now, Bud's friend was very scared and decides to go away from here. But Bud tells him that, why are you scared? Nothing happens. We will finish our work quickly and leave from here. After which they both start working again. One day passes like this. Now Bud and his friend go to Grace and say that we are going now, and we will do the rest of the work tomorrow. Then Grace's husband comes there. Grace's husband apologizes her for his behavior. He says that whatever I did first was wrong. Forgive me. After hearing all this, Grace says to him, okay, I forgive you. Now, go and throw garbage in the dustbin. So now he takes the garbage out and goes. When he comes out, the weather was very bad. When he starts throwing garbage in the dustbin, the same witch comes out of the dustbin, who scared Bud's friend, who came out of the wall, and the witch pulls Grace's husband into the dustbin. The night passed like this and now it is morning, but Grace's husband does not come back. In the morning, when Bud and his friend come to Grace's house to do the rest of the work, she was very scared and tells them about her husband. Then suddenly Bud's friend's eyes fall on the dustbin, which was full of blood. When these three go and see, there was Grace's husband's corpse, who was dead. Grace gets very scared seeing all this. Before these three could think of anything else, there the weather suddenly starts to get bad. There was a very terrible storm coming toward them. These three get scared and hide inside the house. They see that in that storm, a scary man sticks to Grace's window. After seeing him, they hide under the table. After the storm ended, when they come out, they see that nothing had happened to Grace's house because of that storm, and the whole atmosphere outside was absolutely fine. But after that storm, there was no network on anyone's phone. Now, these three decide to go to the police station in the car so that they can report the death of Grace's husband. Now, when they were going to the police station, they see the houses around, people, police station, post office. They couldn't see anything. Everything was disappeared. When they go a little ahead, the road ends. Then when they take the other way, it also ends in the middle of the forest. There was a forest everywhere. Then they see some people coming toward them, who are wearing masks of different animals. They suddenly attack these three, but Bud shoots them and kills two of them. Now when they remove the mask, they were dead bodies. Their face was like someone's skeleton. Now after seeing such a strange thing, they decide to go back home. When they come back to Grace's house, they find out that the water in the house and electricity all were closed, and they could only see the forest everywhere. The three become very worried, and they keep different kinds of weapons with them. Then we see Grace here, who had the same locket on her neck as the husband of that woman found 300 years ago, the woman who was killed by punishment when they were having dinner at night. Then Grace says in words, probably we're stuck in time travel and traveling through time. Now she shows them her research on these things, about which she had written her book, in which it was written about Big Bang and black hole. We see the past time of Grace, where we find out that she was a scientist, and she told us about black hole, that the black hole is seen in the sky, can contain the whole world inside it, and there are smaller holes like this, and if they come in the middle of the earth, then they can connect the doors of our past and future. And she was telling this to Bud and his friends, but they don't understand either. So she takes them out and shows them the same hole in the sky. She says we are traveling through time, and we are stuck in our past time. Grace shows them a picture on which there was a tree, and the names of all the family members were written, on which the highest was Grace, and at the end it was written Grace. Now when Bud's friend reads the name of the highest Grace, then he says this was the witch of Pungo Town, who was killed 300 years ago. Grace hears this and says no, she was not a witch. In fact, she was a common woman, and she used to treat people with herbs. Her neighbors were jealous of her, because of which she was accused and killed. Now after all this talk, Grace and Bud's friends go to sleep, but Bud decides to go in guard. Then some masked men come there, who wanted to kidnap Grace. Bud kills everyone one by one, but one man was saved. When these three ask him who you are, he tells them that I am a follower of the Pungo witch. I have come here from the world of witches, and I have come to take Grace with me. That man tells them that the next storm is coming soon. In the first storm, we came at this time, and now when the next storm comes, which will take us to our old time, that is, now the second storm was about to come. After telling this, the man leaves from here. The next morning, like a very dangerous monster, the tree attacks Grace, but Bud and his friends burn it with fire, and it goes into the water. On the other hand, taking advantage of this, that man takes Grace to the witch. When Bud and his friends look for Grace, they don't find her anywhere. There Grace frees herself from that man. Now she had met Bud and his friends. These three together kill the witch's friends. Now, when they go a little further from there, they see a cave from which a man comes out, who tells them that I am the witch's husband, but he had covered his face. He tells these three to rest in his cave. Then he gives everyone to drink soup. Then a big witch comes out of a big pot and takes Grace back inside. Bud and his friends don't understand anything. What happened to them? Bud asks the witch's husband, "Why did you do that? Why did you deceive us?" He says, "I didn't do anything. The witch has done everything. She keeps an eye and ear on people. That's why I always hide my face. And the witch knows everything because of you. Where are you? Don't worry, I will help you bring Grace back." Because he also knew that the witch, his wife, was not a good woman and wanted to kill everyone in the fire of revenge. After which he calls the same monsters. Those were like big trees. Then he gets scared to see Bud's friend, because he had killed one of them, but the witch's husband says he won't say anything to you. Now, with their help, they go to the witch's fort, where Bud and his friend attack the door and blow it up. Here the witch had imprisoned Grace. Now in the time past in the past, 300 years ago, the same woman is shown, who was killed as a witch. She was not actually dead. She swims to the other side of the water. Then she gives birth to a child. Now when she was about to die, that's when she saw the same black hole in the sky, about which we saw Grace and Bud talking. She had absorbed all its powers, after which she really became a witch. And then many doors of the world had joined together, because of which she could come to Grace's time. Now when Grace comes to her senses, then she sees that the witch was just like her. Grace asks her, "What do you want from me?" On which she says that I am burning in the fire of revenge. At that time people did not do well with me. I was innocent. I was punished. Now I want to burn the whole world. And I also know that, Grace, you are from my family, because my husband gave this locket to my daughter. And in the same way it went on in the next generation. There Bud comes, who tries to save Grace, but the witch shows Bud the vision of his daughter, who was stuck in the thorns. Bud understood that this is a witch's trick. But then the witch really gets his friend stuck in the thorns, which makes her very painful. But Bud gets her out. There the witch was about to stop the storm, because of which these people could go back to their time. Taking advantage of this, he shoots the witch, because of which the witch falls down and dies. The storm was about to come. Bud takes his wounded friend and unconscious Grace to the storm. There the witch's husband puts oil on her and sets it on fire. Now those three also got stuck in that storm, and came to their time after time travel. Bud sends his friend to the hospital in the ambulance, after which he tells Grace, "I can't believe that I have traveled through time." Grace says that such strange things keep happening in the world. And then Bud sees that the plant next to him suddenly grows, and when he sees Grace, his locket was shining. Means now the witch's soul was inside Grace, who had come here from her time. That is, at the time of Grace. At the end of the movie, Grace goes to the statue of the witch. There she takes the flower from her hand and leaves. Now what will this witch do inside Grace? Will she finish everything for her revenge? With this question, this movie ends here.